Hello everybody, Christian from Treasure Town here, and today we're going to be speaking about the 1923 peace dollar, going over everything that you want to know, including the history behind it and its series, its value. There's a lot of VAMs, which are little varieties where if you look closely, maybe it's in the hair or the wing or somewhere else on the coin, you can discover that a regular coin is actually worth a lot more because of it, and I'll have the values for those, and then we'll talk about mint errors at the end. But we'll start with a brief overview. 1923 was sort of it, the peace dollar was made from 1921 to 28, and then again in 1934 and 35. It was, a $1 coin. They came out of the Pittman Act. Basically, the United Kingdom or Britain there were a lot of rumors spread against them that they couldn't honor their commitment to silver-backed currency. So we said we'd step in and help them at our cost. So we basically said whatever it costs to make these and ship them in the $1 face value, you can pay that to us. We'll get you a ton of silver since you're our ally. And the peace dollar came out of that, as well as sort of commemorating peace following the World War I, the end of that. In the States, they mostly circulated out in the West, so near California, because that's where people wanted the hard money instead of, they were less accepting of paper currency. And in 1964, they brought it back, struck 310,000 of them, but they were all melted. If one got out of the mint, it would be extremely rare and valuable, but also illegal. And the key dates are down below. So 23 is not one of them, as this was, I believe, the second most minted coin in the peace dollar series. Only the 1922 was minted more, but that didn't prevent it from being an uncommon date until about 1947. 1945, it was advertised as being one of the rarest, because back then there was a lot more information, unlike what I'm able to give you here. And it's currently one of the easiest dates to own in top condition. So if you have a typeset, or you just need one example of a nice peace dollar, 1923, you can acquire a really nice looking one for pretty cheap. There are tens and tens of thousands of these certified mint state 63 and up, and unfortunately they're also prone to having spotting or yellow staining that can detract from the appearance. But in terms of the value, really you're able to get a mint state 63 for like $70. It only kicks up in the mint state 67 range. A lot of these would have been hanging around in bags, so they would be sort of bumping up against each other, but there's a lot of 66s available because the process and the quality and the striking was actually reasonably good for these. So yeah, 66 is only $360. There's many where anything in mint state is quite rare. There are over 30 million of these made. Now in terms of some of the VAMs, there's going to be a lot to go over here, but there's like a cud almost on this one and sort of doubles the value. 63, if you remember before, we'll just get a sense, 70, 100, 200. So this is about a double in value. For this little cud here, I'm going over all the top 50 and elite 30 VAMs. And I'm going to go through them pretty quickly because there's, you can slow it down. There's an extra hair. I think it's these die breaks or die cracks running in the hair here. Mint state 63, it's about $100. So this isn't super spectacular, but still something I wanted to point out. There's a fair amount of these extra hair. The 1AB has a much thicker sort of cud looking in the design, and this is a $275 coin, so about 3 times the value. There's also going to be this raised part on the obverse and the In God We Trust that sort of gives that particular VAM away. And there's also going to be this one, which is maybe a much more elongated crack, pretty thick cud, but this is about $135 and $400, so closer to a double in the first one. And if you find this, you can find this sometimes on AU coins or XF coins. They make it a lot more desirable instead of just being 1923 is prone to just being a no extra value, just junk peace dollar basically. There's also going to be this tail on the O on the reverse, another one of these sort of cud looking varieties, and this one, a lot of people pay a lot for it. So mint state 63 at $350, AU 55 $150, mint state 65 $1,500. So certainly one to be on the lookout for, and it can be sort of interesting and just in terms of how some get paid for a lot, like this one as well, the VAM 1D whisker cheek. Another strong cud and break on the surface of the cheek, and they call it the whisker cheek as a result. This one, $1,500 in mint state 65. Pretty noticeable. Some of these are much smaller where you can pick it out of like a graded coin, and others are a lot less easy to come by. This one also a more desirable broken wing VAM 1E. This time there's 3 different little cuds here along this coin. going for about $1,000 in mint state 63. So that's actually a fair amount more than the whisker cheek. So certainly another one to look out for. And then there's this chin bar, like a die gouge. This one, not that special, but it's going to run all the way from the chin all the way down to the one sort of through that D in God We Trust. This one being, very incremental values above. But even if you have something with a VAM, it'll automatically just be much easier to sell. So it's something to look for. Tiara die gouge, same thing here, except it's running sort of parallel to her forehead or the base of the tiara, perpendicular to the lines in the tiara. This one, $500, a nice double in value. That's Elite 30. Then there's the bar wing, which is right here. This, again, sort of bulge similar to what we've seen before, and then a nice die crack running through the head of the eagle, all the way through the U and then into the unum, which is a little faint on this example, but sort of in line with the earlier values. AU55, really, it's like a $25, $30 coin if you don't have a VAM, so it could be really nice to be able to pick it out on, this isn't like the most obvious one. It's conceivable that you could find this and cherry pick it. Then there's also this extra hair, just another one of these raised metal ones sort of running all through her hair, but not there. There's also, or just there, it's also going to be that sort of second follow-up in the background. And this one, again, like 125 mint state 63, 250 mint state 65, there's collector interest. The double tiara is actually pretty cool, though it's not a huge value difference, but it's a really strong double tiara. As you can see, really strong separation through the tiara, but it's really easy to see on those last two parts. And this is maybe affordable if you want to purchase one. That's the other thing, is that see if some of these you might just really like, and they're relatively cheap, a lot of them, so you can just find one that you think is cool and buy it. There's this double trust. I think this is a little sort of tougher to see, but the double trust going to have a little bit of separation up there, maybe a little bit on the T over there as well, and there's not much price history on this one. And then there's also, I'm trying to think over here if it's in the hair or where the doubling is. I can't even obviously see it. In terms of the mint errors, though, I always sort of conclude presentations with 3 mint errors. This one, 1923, there is some rotated reverses, so when they sort of the dies are not properly, it's a rotated die, so you can check it out, see if you flip it over, if it's not in alignment, if it's this 75-degree rotated reverse. This mint state 61 coin sold for $765, so that's a really nice premium. Then we have this really cool obverse laminated planchet. I would have thought this was more expensive, but there's some impurities in the metal that cause this flaking of the top part of the metal here to come undone, and you don't see the 19, you only see that part of the 9, the 23, as that metal has flaked off. This one sold for $305. So this one, you're probably going to be able to cherry pick in much more minor situations. Anything that big normally gets pulled out pretty quickly. And then lastly, we've got this cool die adjustment strike. Basically, when they're adjusting the dies to get the right pressure, they normally have a few strikes that are way too weak. The die is not properly, hasn't been properly adjusted, and then you get this sort of an effect where it looks like it's really worn, but it's actually in mint state. The pressure was insufficient and contributes to this hyper worn look when it's really not. This is a $660 coin sold in 2018. So lots of different cool things, some cool mint errors to go through, as well as a bunch of VAMs, and just the info. It's always fascinating how the coins often, were key dates at one point, and now it's like we realize it's the second most common. But anyways, that's what happens when you have a bunch of mint bags of 1,000 of these lying around and they get uncovered. Thanks for watching. I have some similar dates, and we're going to build out the whole series coming up in the future. Thanks for watching the video. I'd encourage you to like the video, comment, and make sure to subscribe to my channel. And I also have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and some other social media platforms. You can also go to my main channel website, treasuretownYT.com, to learn more about the channel and sort of stay in contact. I also will eventually host all of these videos on coinsmetalscards.com, which will be both news, marketplace, and coin information. I do have the goal of eventually getting pretty much every US coin, date, mint mark, denomination on the channel with a similar video to the one that you just watched, and that will likely all be hosted there. And then I also have treasuretowncoins.com, which is sort of my coin dealing wing, coin dealing only entity that is a little bit less focused on content production. So thank you so much, and I'll look forward to seeing you on some of my other videos. I also have videos that are not just the date, mint mark, denomination recap in this format, so you can check some of those out, and I'll have fun seeing you there.